tea, mocha, lawyers, we good. Hi guys, welcome back to Imiter La Perfection. We are back for Spring Summer Wave 1. Yeah, how have you all been? This is the first collection of 2023, which is exciting. It's crazy to think that we've nearly been doing this a year. So, yeah, let's get into it. Right guys, as you can see, we got some new bonbons. We have got some other products in the works, some really special ones that we'll be doing a separate video on because, you know, they mean something. Anyway, new bonbons. Are we ready? Okay, so I just love, Mason does such a good job of the ribbon. I feel awful opening it, but at the same time I just love opening it because it's just such a cute box. Such a cute box. Can you see? This is what they all do on like YouTube, because I watch some like for inspiration and they all put their hand behind the product to kind of like focus in on it. Has it done it, Mason?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh,
we're
perfect. So, the hot chocolates still available on the store. We've got the ruby one, the 53% powdered white. That's still available, and people absolutely love that one. Like, that is such a good one. Same with the powdered hot chocolate, like the Essentials powdered hot chocolate. The fact that that works with water, it's absolutely brilliant. We've still got the truffles, not the Yuzu ones though, because, you know, they were a little special for wave 1 and 2 for winter. Anyway, let's get straight to it. So you open the 2-piece box, and as always, the staple, the chocolate social. You know, this is people's favourites hands down. And, you know, I absolutely love that the staple is a favourite because it would be worrying if it wasn't. But, so the chocolate social, that is here to stay. And now the next one. New bonbon, I'm out. So let's get into the story. Now when I'm saying this, I'm going to keep looking at my phone because I don't want to say anything that I shouldn't say. So, before we get into any stories, I need to remind you about the disclaimer at the start of the video, okay? That this is my story, my experiences. People might have different experiences, you know, so I just want to remind you to please go back and just see that disclaimer before we start this story about this bonbon, because, you know, it spills the tea quite a bit. This is the story about how I left what I thought to be my dream job. This is a story that's been so highly anticipated, and honestly, I didn't even want to put this story out yet because I had a story about one of the people that worked at this place in fall winter wave 1. If you've not seen that, then Mason will put like a little banner. Go and have a little look. This way, is it this way?
Yeah.
This time we go and have a little look. We touched on it in the Q&A. I never ever addressed why I left, you know, like the story behind it and everything. And I thought that dancing around the point would hopefully like satisfy people's, you know, questions. It didn't. You know, people are still hesitant to work with me. You know, I'm basically still blackballed from the Sheffield scene. I don't care. It is what it is, but people don't know my story. So I thought, if people knew my story and knew not just my story, but some other people's stories about the culture of that place, then, yeah, they might have a different view. Some people are going to know exactly the place that I'm talking about. Some people are not going to know the place that I'm talking about. And if you do not know the place, then that's fine. This is just a story about how I left my dream job. If you do know this place, it's a small dig to big fish in a tiny pond. So, enough said. There's been periods over the past year where I've just wanted to jump straight in front of this camera and, you know, explain what happened because it is ugly for them. But at the same time, you know, I was in moments of rage and moments where I don't think that I would tell the story fairly or well enough. You know, there's been times that I just want to move on and not tell this story at all. You know, I've been through the motions this past year, and, you know, a lot of people think it's just a job. But it was so much more to me, you know. This is not just a story about how I left my job, it's a story about how I lost myself my creativity, how I lost everything that was just so important to me at that time. So this is my side of the story. I am not in a place of spite. I am not in a place of resolve either. I'm just in a very, very neutral place, and this has been a great outlet for my anger towards these people and, ultimately towards myself, letting these people treat me the way that they did. But this is a story about how I left my dream job, what happened, clearing up all the rumours, because there's been some awful, awful rumours that have been really damaging to myself, which are just not true. And yeah, let's get into it. So I think to explain what happened, did I get fired, did I walk out, you'll have to wait to hear that. But to explain what happened, I think it's best to start from the start, and that is before I even joined Beams. Beams is not the name of the restaurant, it's like an inside joke name. Obviously for legal reasons I'm not allowed to say the name of the restaurant, but before I even worked there, I worked at a separate restaurant in Barnsley. And I always loved fine dining, and I've got a bit of a CV, I'm not gonna lie, like who cooked for the Queen? Me! I did! Anyway, stop. That's a different story. Anyway, so I've always loved fine dining, and me and two of my friends that I worked with went to the restaurant Beams for a meal for one of the birthdays, and I just fell in love with it. I'm from Barnsley, bitch. Like, there's no fine dining. Oh shit. Okay, I'm from Barnsley. There's no fine dining restaurants like in Barnsley apart from the one that I was working at, and that's not really a fine dining restaurant. So we went to this fine dining restaurant, and it was the first time actually eating at, not working at, eating at a fine dining restaurant, and I fell in love. I just loved the vibe. I loved, obviously I follow the Instagram, and I loved the look of the people, the look of the family that they had, and it was very, very cute, and I just wanted to work there. So I applied multiple times, like whatever position popped up, whether it was waiter, pot wash, a job in the kitchen, I always applied, and it took me a couple of times before I even got an interview. Towards the end of 2019, I applied for one of the other jobs, another job that they put out, and I got it, and I was a commie, and I started at the start of 2020, 3 months before shit went down, and so basically, as a commie, I did snacks, and just anything else that they asked, really. I did do a bit of desserts, but not a lot. I think I had like a couple of days, and as opposed to for the culture, it was a classical kitchen culture. There was people still saying the N-word that were white. There was still sexual, a lot of sexual discussions, a lot of sexist, racist, homophobic discussions. I think I touched on a few of them. I don't want to repeat myself. I think I touched on a few of them in Fall Winter Wave 1. And it wasn't exactly the most equal environment, but I kind of feel like I always thought that I was going to change it. I was always like, these people will change, because people can change. I believe that people can change. We went into lockdown, and, I was scared when I was in lockdown because I was still on my probation, and it was a scary time for businesses because no one knew what was going to happen. It would have been so easy to get rid of me, but they didn't get rid of me, and I kind of feel like part of me held that as like, oh my god, wow, like they care, Anyway, during the lockdown, I started creating stuff on my Instagram because guess what? I had free time. Like everyone else out there, I could start creating the stuff that I'd want to create for ages, but hadn't had the time to create, quite frankly. Before Beams, I was working 2 jobs. I started at 4:30, got in at sometimes 1, 2, 3 a.m. Mainly 1, 2 a.m. I think only 3 a.m. like once, but 7 days a week, I was up early, in late, with like a half an hour change between each jobs. I didn't have time. And patisserie takes time, and I had the time to create. I did one on the Wannabe Pastry Cook. As you can see, if you go onto the Instagram Wannabe Pastry Cook, you can see the stuff that I created in lockdown, and that was on me. During the pandemic, we did Zooms, where they set us on some tasks. They knew that I was creating petit gâteaux and entremets, so they set me on a petit gâteau and entremet task. But, I didn't really need that set as a task because I was already doing it. And looking back at that time, I can kind of see where I started to kind of become distant from the group. You know, when you went into the pandemic and when you went into the lockdown, you went in with the people that you were with. Do you know what I mean? I just started this workplace. I was only 3 months in. There was a lot more staff at that time at the restaurant. So when we went into the pandemic, you know, they were all still like a little tight-knit group. You know, I wasn't in that yet, so they became more tight-knit. And naturally, I just stayed on my own little float. You know what I mean? Like, I was just doing my thing. You know, I was more in contact with the two owners because they were the people setting the tasks. You know, I sent loads of stuff in lockdown about ideas that they could do to keep the social media and the business going. I suggested the meet and greet, not meet and greet, but like meet the team kind of thing on Instagram. I also suggested doing a giveaway to go towards the NHS staff that we know at that time working above and beyond and still working above and beyond, you know, to sort this whole corona shit out. And there was a lot of menu ideas that I put in, a lot of just general ideas that I put in, and yeah, that was just kind of the pandemic. During the pandemic, obviously they set up the takeaway service, and you know that was going really, really well. They had a dedicated team on that at the start, and then towards like as it kind of carried on, like we all kind of pitched in and helped out. Not a lot of people at a time. Obviously, we were in a pandemic, and so it was a bit of a struggle. So you couldn't exactly have the whole team in. You know, you couldn't even afford to have the whole squad in. So you know, one of the things that I do want to mention, by the way, is that during the pandemic, I said that I will work, but you can keep me on furlough, because I knew that it was a struggle for businesses, and you know, that's kind of just me. That's just something that I would have done for any business. You know what I mean? Keep me on furlough. I don't mind working. Just, you know, keep it between me and you. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to put my hours in. So I did that for a good while. During the time that we did the takeaways, really, it was only me and the owner at the time. Well, the co-owner at the time that was in charge of the kitchen. And during these periods where there was not many people in, you know, obviously I started doing desserts and everything. They were quite straightforward with it being take-home desserts. And, you know, we'd chat, just me and this other man. And, you know, like we'd chat quite in depth about things like life. You know, I opened up a lot to him about my sexuality and my life outside of work. And, you know, there was a lot of things that I told him that we'll repeat later that were used against me in the future. But, you know, I thought that I was, you know, opening up. And, you know, I thought this could be like a real, you know, really nice thing for me. You know, I thought I found a work family finally in the catering industry where, you know, anyone that isn't straight is hated, anyone that isn't white is hated, anyone that isn't a male in the kitchen is hated. I thought that I found somewhere that was safe for me. And anyway, so, you know, I opened up like a book. There were a couple of red flags along the way. You know, there was this patisserie that I visited in Cheltenham, by this man that I was like, oh my god, like the stuff that he creates is amazing, and it was, but the man himself wasn't amazing, you know, and there was definitely a conversation there that questioned his behaviour towards people, you know, that were of certain communities. And I remember I had a horrible experience, and I came back and I told him about the experience, and the next day he followed him on Instagram, and he followed his business on Instagram, and he followed any single account that he made on Instagram. And to me, that was a bit of a red flag. That was like, you know, I just told you about this man and the wrongs that he's done, and now that was just a red flag, and that's clown shit, and I do not deal with clown shit. Another thing that happened was I bought an £800 spray gun for me, obviously, and they got to find out, obviously, because it came up in conversation. For those who do not know, I use spray guns to spray potatoes and entremets, and, you know, at the time that was such a big purchase for me, personally, because, you know, I do not come from money. You know, I'm not born, you know, it's not like I can just say, you know, Mum, I want this, and she's going to get it. Like, that's not how it works, and, you know, that's not something that we can afford to do. So I spent this money on a spray gun, and the restaurant was opening back up, and they said they put this dessert on. They said it's a spray dessert, and I was like, oh, so have you got a spray gun? And they said no, we're going to use yours. And I was like, that is not happening. Like, no. But there was things like that happened. Quite a lot of things like that happened. There was another time where, and this is a big one actually, because I always wanted to be a pastry cook. Like, that was my dream. Since I was like 11, that's been my dream. And there was a time where, because I was a commie, and I was cleaning the kitchen with like a CDP at the time. And if you do not know the kitchen, workings, we are going to throw up at some point a little like family tree kind of thing, which shows the positions of power. But I was a commie and CDPs are above. So I was cleaning the kitchen with a CDP, and the CDP, quite frankly, was lazy. I don't think he's that lazy anymore. I kind of feel like he's kind of, But at the time he was lazy and he wasn't cleaning the kitchen right, and I was kind of going over what he cleaned. And, the Sue came in while the CDP wasn't there, and we're just like, why isn't this cleaned properly? I said, I'm getting to it, And the Sue knew whose fault it was. And he was like, you need to tell this person off. And I was like, no, I can't do that. Like, I'm a commie. He's a CDP. I can't tell him off. Because another thing is that if I speak like a notch above monotone with this voice, you're sassy, you're argumentative. I can't tell a CDP off, without, first of all, because it's not right, like, I'm not the manager, and second of all, like, then I'm going to get this, you're sassy, you're argumentative, and da-da-da-da-da, which I won't say to a straight person, FYI, but I'd get that, and so I was like, no. Anyway, this man was like, okay, walked out. About a minute later, walked back in. Congratulations, you're a CDP, now you can tell him off. And I was like, what? That's not how promotions really happen. I was only promoted because I didn't have any respect. I wasn't respected. I didn't have any respect. Not that I didn't respect other people, but people did not respect me. That's why I was promoted, so I could tell this person off to clean. And I was a bit shocked. And another thing is that apparently this promotion didn't come with a pay rise. Not that it's about money, it was an unpaid promotion. And not that it's about money, because it's not. But you can see where I'm going. Like, I didn't like that. And, I became a CDP. And then they were like, oh, you're on pastry now, you're the pastry cook. And I was like, wow, like, this is a position that I've dreamed of since I was little. Like, this was a position that, like, I've always wanted. And then they'd definitely mess around with that. It's like they were dangling the carrot. They would say that I'm the pastry cook, and they would then say to me, but you're not, because we do not have a big enough team, we do not have a budget for that, you're not the pastry cook. But then they'd turn around and then advertise me on their social media as a pastry cook. I mean, I'm going to throw up now some references of times that they've done that, calling me the pastry cook on their, social media, call me the pastry cook, like, to the audience, but then saying to me, you're not the pastry cook, you're just a CDP. We can swap you in and out of sections. And they kind of used that against me, and that was something that, looking back, is just so fucking vile and so cruel. During the pandemic, also, they got a hotel, and some of the staff moved out there, which meant the staff here was smaller. That was great in a sense, because I'm really not that much of a people's person. Like, it takes me a lot to get through the day. I'm always lovely to people, but, at the end of the day, I'm just a bit like, whew. So it was nice, it being a smaller team, but it was so cliquey. They became the boys, and then Declan. And that's something that, they denied. They were like, oh no, you're one of the boys too, but I wasn't one of the boys, because I wasn't treated the same as they'd treat each other. When the orders were coming, they'd leave stuff on my side to put away. That's not even anything to do with me. They'd expect me to put it away. They wouldn't do that to each other. They'd make me do, like, chores and stuff that they wouldn't make each other do, or they wouldn't ask each other to do. And what else happened? Oh yeah, they got I'm going to put like a family tree up, by the way, here. Admittedly, I'm flexing my petty side a bit. Like, I can't put names, obviously, legally. So I put emojis that represent the people. And some of it's shade, some of it's not shade. But at this point, like, I don't really give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, you treated me the way that you did. You did shit to me. And, it's caused me a lot of issues. I don't care about this. Fuck me, fuck you. Do you know what I mean? I'm not one of the people that thinks, oh, be the bigger person. What's that gonna do? Yeah, this person who was now the head chef, who was a sous, is now the head chef because as they got the hotel, the head chef moved over to the hotel and, he became like the executive chef, if you would, which is like the person that oversees everything. But the head chef is like under that. Anyway, so the head chef at the time got everyone else tweezers, personalised tweezers apart from myself. And was like, oh, well, you were the newest one to get tweezers. That was like a year ago. And second of all, like, mine are all faded as well. And someone got tweezers just before I got tweezers as well. So that wasn't a proper excuse for me. And they advertised it as, oh, got the boys some new tweezers. Again, wasn't included. They'd go out to eat with each other, never invited me, but then would talk about it inside of work. And it's just like, I was not part of the team, period. And if you say that I was, then you're delusional. Because there was no part of me that was part of the team. I wanted so badly to be part of the team. When it was people's birthdays, I baked them cakes. They passed the driving tests, got them cards. Got a promotion, got them cards. I did loads of shit. I just bought things in just because it was a Saturday. Heatwave was coming. I filled I filled the freezer with ice cream. And not just any kind of ice cream, like fucking Yummy Yorkshire. This is expensive stuff. And I tried so hard to be part of the team, and I was just never really accepted. And there was things that happened that I think I said in the other video, but it got to a place where I was constantly disrespected by managers. And when you're disrespected by the managers, then you're disrespected by everyone, because if the manager doesn't treat you right, do you think anyone else is going to treat you right? Because they're not. Everyone else treat me like shit. Even if they do not think that they treat me like shit, they did. They did stuff that they wouldn't do to other people, whether it's leaving stuff on my side, whether it's making a mess on my side and not cleaning it up. You do not treat the other people like that, but you treat me like that. And that's something that hurt, because I loved these boys so much. I was literally like, they needed a lift. There was one boy that I gave like a lift to work, like literally like every single day for like about a couple of months, until their friend started working in the kitchen. And then obviously I got dropped and the friend was the one that gave the lifts. But do you get what I'm saying? Like, I was literally I was the first person that they saw in the morning, the last person they saw in the evening. Anything that they needed, I was there. And it hurt me so much that they would just do these little things that it really upset me. There was countless occasions where I was segregated. I expressed my hurt so many times. Whenever they did something that upset me, I expressed it, and they never took it seriously. They never was like, they just didn't care. They didn't care. And, that hurt me, but also it impacted how everyone else treated me. There was a new member, like, I think I told you about the whole strawberry dish thing, where they asked me to create this dish, well, 2 dishes actually, gave me recipes for it, say follow the recipes, followed the recipes. They worked out, but it wasn't cohesive, like, the dish wasn't cohesive enough, and they were just like, this is fucking shit, this is shit, this is shit, that shit, this is disgusting. And, obviously they gave me that recipe, told me not to veer from it, so I did that. And, there was a new member of staff there. They didn't know that they'd given us recipes. There was a woman that were doing work experience. She didn't know that they'd given us recipes. And I was humiliated. In front of everyone, I was humiliated. And I felt awful. Because, this is not my dish. This is not my idea. And instead of giving constructive criticism like, you know what, this element's good, but it doesn't really go with this, so we're going to do this next time. There was none of that. It was, this is fucking shit. So I just exited to the left. I wasn't being dramatic or anything. I just slid back, because I was at the back anyway. I mean, if you're unpopular, if you're, you stood at the back anyway. So I just went to wash some pots, and obviously I was made out to be a dickhead for leaving early, but you know, there was no constructive criticism there. And the new boy that started actually disrespected me so many times, didn't listen to me, rolled his eyes at me because I was disrespected by them. And he knew, well, they don't like him, so I don't have to do anything. And it's, you know, so that carried on, that attitude. And I just want to say that I'm no angel either. There's things that I did as a reaction to the stuff that they did that was not right. But do I regret it? No, I don't. Because you treated me that way, so I had to go and do these things. For example, after they said that about the whole dish thing and made me out to be a total idiot, I went off and I got a job offer for another restaurant that was absolutely amazing. That was actually good in for a star. A pastry job where they wanted me to come in and take over the section totally because obviously, hello, I'm not stupid. Anyway, I got the job. And I was never going to take the job, let's be honest. I did not go in with the intention of taking the job. I went in because, you know, I thought I need to make myself feel better because I feel like shit. Anyway, I got the job offer. And I went into work and I said, look at this offer that I've just got. That was wrong because, obviously, it was disrespectful. But at the same time, I wouldn't have had to do that if they treated me with respect. You know, getting that offer and then carting that around, to me, that showed people, oh my God, like, he's not stupid, he's actually good at what he does. You know, and he's so much so that he's got this offer and this offer, you know what I mean? So, was that right? No, but I did it. Towards the end of 2020, we were back in lockdown. I became really, really good friends with one of the girls that worked at the hotel on pastry, and she was absolutely lovely. And obviously, both the hotel nor the restaurant could operate because we were back in lockdown. So we were doing takeaway Christmas dinners, and I think I explained this back in the other video, but I kind of showed that I was really reliable because there was an issue where a COVID issue. Yeah, actually, you know what? Let's expose the COVID issue, right? One of the managers got COVID. He's been around us, and he, you know, obviously he had to report to the NHS and everything. He never put us down to track and trace. And do you want to know why? Because it was a week before Christmas. If he tracked and traced us, we wouldn't be able to work, and, you know, they'd lose the 23 or 25 or however many grand that they earn for that one day. So he didn't track and trace us. And something that was really, really hurtful is that once the week was over, they tracked and traced us. And it wasn't him, it was the Sue, who is now the head, who tracked and traced us. And, you know, we got the notification on Boxing Day. People went and saw their families Christmas Day. He knew that people were going to go see their grandparents, you know, see their family, knowing full well that there's a possibility that they could have had COVID. But he didn't track and trace them. And, you know, everyone was outraged by that. You know, everyone was like, he should have tracked and traced us because I could have passed something on to my grandmother or my grandfather or this person or that person, you know. And no one brought it up to him but me. I brought it up to him and I said, why didn't you track and trace it? And he gave some bullshit excuse like, oh, I did, you know, this, that and the other. Obviously he didn't because I didn't get any notification. But anyway, that's a separate thing. And then I started the chocolate social. And that time I kind of gained back some respect because I was friendly with the manager. Because I was doing, you know, I was working at the chocolate social for him. If you don't know the story, go back and watch, I think, the debut collection. There'll be a link up here again. So I gained back some respect. He didn't treat me with respect to the chocolate social, just an FYI, we've already established that. And then after it ended, obviously I was dropped again. And it's quite coincidental that when they need me, I'm all that. When they don't, I'm not. And after the chocolate social ended, as I said, you know, he started treating me like shit again. Then I did the campaign for toxic masculinity. You know, feminine masculinity #5, I think the campaign's name was. It's on the Instagram again. Go and check it out. And, you know, one of the things that I did afterwards was I did the interviews at the place, and I said, at the restaurant, at Beams, and I said, oh, obviously I asked for permission to use the place, you know, at that moment, at that period of time, also when it was people's birthdays, I was making cakes for them, you know, like I was, you know, so I was in sometimes at the weekend, well, not at the weekend, but our weekend, so like Sunday, Monday, and, you know, I was making cakes, and I always ask for permission. I'd either text or ask verbally, not verbally. I was perfectly fine to go in and do cakes and everything, and, you know, obviously I always ask for permission from this person, not from the kitchen owner, not the other owner, because obviously I'm using the kitchen, and I always went through this person. I didn't really speak to the other one. But, so yeah, I just always asked, very polite, and it was always a yes. And I asked about the interviews. I said, can I bring my videographer? Also the girl that was doing the interviews, and also someone that worked on the team who helped me with the project. And it was like, yeah, this was all verbal. It was like, yeah. Told him the dates. Well, actually, that's a lie. I didn't tell him the dates. I told him I didn't say the specific day that we were going to be in. I said, this week, you know, I gave him the period, and yeah, that's fine, this, that, and the other, because I had a key. They were like, yeah, that's fine. And so I arranged it all, I set it up, and I did the interviews, and then during the interviews, your man walks in, and all fine, but then later I get a call, did you ask for permission? And I was like, yeah, of course I asked for permission. I'm not going to break in without permission, like, that is not me, and obviously that is wrong. And he was like, okay, but I'm going to have to tell your man, and, you know, if he doesn't know, then it's going to be trouble. I was like, well, this one doesn't know, but this one knows. And he was like, well, I'm going to have to ask, you know, and I was just like, ask the one that knows, they're both owners. Ask the owner that I've told. Anyway, the owner that I told started saying that he didn't remember. Or, that's a lie, sorry. He started saying that I didn't ask him. And then it turned to I didn't remember. He said that he had no recollection of me asking him, which was weird. Yeah, it's understandable because obviously he's running a business. Well, helping run a business. You know, I understand that he's busy and he may not have remembered, but at the same time, I always ask. Even if you don't remember, I always ask. You know, it's in my nature to ask. You know, I would never just break in or anything. And anyway, the next day, well, not the next day because we were off work, I think the next time that we were in work, they sat me down and they were just like, you know, they made out as if I broke in, you know, this, that and the other, and they said, right, we're going to have to take the key off you. And I felt humiliated because it was just like, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong, but I was like, okay. And I tried to give the key back, but they wouldn't accept the key back, which was weird because it's like, what? Anyway, I put the key in a drawer, one of the drawers, and then later on in the conversation, it was just like, we took the key off you, but we didn't physically take it off you, did we? And they made it out to be a test, and it was just a weird situation, and I just kind of felt like, and this is like the whole pastry cook situation, I was being messed around, and I do not like being messed around. And then there's a lot of things that happen after that. You know, I don't have the time or the energy or the want to explain every little thing. I'll go over some things. You know, I just started feeling, like I said, like I was not part of the team, kept leaving me out, and then I kept seeing other things happen. For example, my friend, that happened to be a female, was fired. She was told that she wasn't good enough, and she wasn't up to the standards, and she was fired. You know, and apparently she said that she'd want to do a tattoo apprenticeship as well as doing the job, and they fired her for that, which, I mean, I'm not being funny, but the other members of the staff at the hotel were saying that they'd want to kill themselves. So I kind of feel like saying that you want to do a tattoo apprenticeship is, you know, better than saying that you want to be unalived. Let's just say that. And if she was male, was she being fired at that time? Absolutely not. She wasn't drinking at the bar at the end of the night. She wasn't, you know, like all the other people were. And I kind of feel like that was a reason why they let her go. And it's really unfair because they said, oh, we're going to train you up. I saw the person that was meant to be training her up and he just stood around doing nothing. Because I helped out at the hotels at some points, you know, during the day, and he just stood around. He was never there, you know. And another thing about that hotel is that the staff would make homophobic comments, transphobic comments, sexist comments, and the head chef, I'd watch him, and while they're making these comments, and like I'd make eye contact, and he'd never do anything. He'd just kind of look at me as if to say. So I used to go over, if I caught them saying something, of course I'd call it out, because it's not fair. How could you stand by and let staff make them kind of comments? It's ridiculous. And this is the thing, it was such an unequal workplace. Was she fired because she was a woman? Yes. Because I swear to God, if she had a dick, if she was in that bar every single night, you know, she'd still be there. Or she would have stayed longer. If she had the proper training, you wouldn't have had the issues that you had. And that annoyed me so much. And I mentioned that, and obviously, you know, I was shut down. Another situation happened. There was another member of the staff at the hotel that was mixed race, and there was a situation, I think it was a Tuesday night. I remember I was just at home, you know, like I just watched an episode of The Housewives, you know, I was just like getting ready to turn down for bed, and then I get this call from someone that doesn't even work at Beams, or for Beams at any of the establishments. And I'm just like, oh my God, is it true what's happened at the hotel about, you know, the knife? And I was just like, what? I got another message like about a minute afterwards saying something about a stabbing, and I was like, what is going on? Anyway, obviously, rumours fly, but as about an hour later, like, we found out the truth, you know, and apparently what happened was this person of colour he ran at someone with a knife after he was, you know, apparently they said some racial comments and he ran at them with a knife. Not the right response at all. He should not have run at someone with a knife. He should be fired, and he was fired. He should be fired for that. You know, anyone who runs at someone with a knife, that should be fired. 100%. But someone had made these comments to him that were racist. You know, it was one of them situations where you're like, this needs to be sorted out right. And as someone who is a member of another minority, you know, all eyes were on them. Like, I was watching them to see how they sort this out. As Mark came out about what happened, as it happens, the boy was, like, physically abused for, like, a couple of months before this situation even happened. Apparently, according to the boy himself, he was burnt with pans while being called racial slurs. There was a lot of stuff that were happening that wasn't just verbal, let's just say that. And that was vile, you know, just knowing that went down was vile. And anyway, we were sat at the restaurant, I think it was the next day or whenever we were in next, we were sat down and we were told, look, this has happened. There's a lot of negative talk about Beams and, you know, defend Beams, basically. And I was like, okay, but what happened to the person that was making these comments? And they were just like, he is a hero, this, that, and the other. And I was kind of shut down, and I was also kind of made out to be like a gossip and a bad guy, you know, and I wanted to know what had happened. You know, this is not good enough. This person has made racial comments, you know, literally been abusing. And the thing is, well, I wasn't there to witness that. I've witnessed what this boy is like that allegedly said these stuff. And you know what? I can see he did it. 100%. And if the boy is saying they did it, I believe him because they are racist. Anyway, I wanted them just to turn around and say, yeah, you know what? We've had a word with him and he is on this one, in that one, in this one, and he is on this, you know what I mean? But there was none of that. There was like, he's a hero. And during my time working for this company, 3 people have been promoted after publicly displaying either the fact that they're racist, sexist, or homophobic. After displaying discriminatory behaviour, they've been promoted. 3 people promoted into managerial positions. That just says everything. And then other things happened, other people got fired. In the past 9 months, like about 95% of the staff that left or was fired were people of minorities. That is wrong. And even after all this happened, I was still like, you know what, they can change. And my best friend at the time was telling me, you need to leave. And I didn't even listen. Everyone was saying, you need to get out, this is not safe for minority people. And I just never listened. I was like, they're going to change, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to, we're making change. And I stayed. There was a point, I think the point where I finally thought that this was enough was the head chef at the point. He made a comment, because we were meant to go for coffee, and he was just like, I didn't want to go for coffee. He said, I did want to go for coffee, but I didn't want to go with you. And, he made this awful comment, and he was saying how he was playing video games as opposed to going for coffee with me. It's not that he couldn't do it, it's just that he didn't want to go with me. And it was just ridiculous, and I responded to that, and obviously I was told off for responding to that. And during the conversation, they said, we built the wannabe pastry cook. And I respected these people so highly, and I was deluded to even respect them so highly, but I did. And, they said that they built the wannabe pastry cook. They said the wannabe pastry cook wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for them, which is so not true. Recall, it was the pandemic that made me the person that I was. And I think that was definitely like the end, because I could just feel like my creativity just kind of left me. And, we agreed that over the next few months we'd try and become a team again. Or they promised that they'd include me. They got the HR person in. And, that's another thing, is that the boys started saying things like, oh, he looks at us like a piece of meat, which is not true. And the thing is, I am such, I am a nice person, and I'm not the kind of person to turn around and say, oi, you look like a 12-year-old, or, this, that and the other. So I just didn't say anything apart from, no, I don't. And I was made out to be this, which is funny, because they said things like that about me when on the 21st of August during a lunch service, was it the 21st? Wasn't it? Hold on a second. On the 21st of August, they were watching porn during a lunch service. One of them was showing the other one what they enjoyed that morning during a lunch service in an open kitchen. Yeah, the sound was off, but do you think that's appropriate? Yeah, I'm being, basically told that I look at people like a piece of meat. Are you kidding? Guys, future Declan just sliding on in here. Something that I forgot to mention was that we were on a second story of a building. We had a really, really nice view of the street. And there was times where if a girl walked by who they thought had a nice arse, they would shout "Bunda" and everyone ran to the window. Obviously not me, because I am not a pervert. But there was times where I was by the window when this was shouted. And I saw some of the girls that they were talking about. And these girls, you did not know what age they were. They could have been very, very young. In fact, I think one of them had school uniform on. They were, it was, you shouldn't be saying that about anyone, but it was very, very perverted. And this was something that I raised. And this was something that they actually stopped doing. They stopped physically shouting "Bunda." But if there was someone that walked past that had a nice ass, they would still alert each other just without shouting "Bunda." They'd say something else. But, yeah. So, just a FYI. A couple of days later, on the 26th of August, your man had his hands down his pants, fondling his genitalia, while we were doing prep lists, having conversations about how he tries to fuck himself. Fuck himself. They were his exact words, I write shit down. Also, may I just mention that this was while we were doing prep lists, and whilst pastry was still in service, delaying the pastry service. On that same day, they were trying to get people's holiday days in. They were saying, have you booked all your holiday days in? And, a lot of people was like, no, because they'd not planned a holiday that early or something, you know what I mean? Like, because you don't just put your holidays in as soon as you get them. You know, you plan a holiday, then you put them in, and that's how it works. And he was rushing people to take holiday days, and I said to him, you can't actually legally do that. And he said, I can do what I fucking want. Like I said, I was making racial comments, homophobic comments, transphobic comments. Your man was still saying the N-word every now and again. And yet they got the HR person on me. Make it make sense. Anyway, towards the end of 2021, we had to sit down with the HR, and I said all this. And basically the consensus was we're going to try and become more of a team again. You know, one of the things that we did was we went to the movies outside of work, and, you know, we went to see a Spider-Man movie, this movie, something to do with Venom. Another one that I cannot remember, I'm not going to lie, it was like, because I'm not really into the Marvel movies, but, you know, I went because, you know, we promised that we were going to be part of the team. I went along because, you know, it was a team thing, you know, go team, you know, I was here for this, you know, I was like the cheerleader, like, come on guys. Anyway, it was time to go see, like, because I really wanted to go see the House of Gucci movie, which is, you know, a murder thriller, like, come on, like, it's amazing, but, you know, I understand that it's not everyone's taste, but, you know, they were like, oh yeah, we'll go see that as well, because obviously, you know, I saw their movies, you know, we kind of saw each other's movies, and it's, you know, now it's time to do something that I want to do. And I went to the cinema, I sat there, it was nearly time for the movie to start, and no one was there. And I was like, no one's showing up. And last minute, the person that bought the ticket showed up. And obviously I'll highlight, whoever I'm talking about, I'm highlighting on the family tree. The person that bought the ticket showed up and was like, right, come on. And I was like, where is everyone else? And he was just like, yeah, they're not coming. And I remember feeling so disheartened. And like, bless him, I know that the kid came and that was lovely, but like, it was just like, you could tell he didn't want to be there. Came in, watched the movie and went, and that were it. No chatting, no. And I was just like, why? You know, I didn't get it. Like, what have I ever done to anyone? And I was so upset by that. And then that was kind of like a point where I realised I'm never going to be part of this team. And, you know, other things happened. And I remember at the start of March of 2022, at the start of March, we had another sit down. I sat down with the other owner, which I do not know why I sat down with him. I did. And he was like, right, so some issues. You call people my lovely. And I'm like, yeah. Mason. How many times do I say, oh, Mason, my love, or oh, Mason, my darling? Like, it's just something that I do.
It's just part of your vocabulary.
Well, exactly. And, you know, I kind of feel like I say it quite a bit, but I always, like, sometimes I won't say Mason, my lovely, I'll just say, oh, my lovely. But, like, I mix in, sometimes I always normally say people's name, like, Mason, my lovely, or so-and-so, my lovely, you know what I mean? I don't normally just go, oh, my lovely, you know what I mean? Or, oh, my darling, but it's just part of my vocabulary. And he was just like, yeah, you stop using people's names, you just call people my lovely. And I was like, right, I do apologise, it's something that, you know, I was raised doing. And he was like, yeah, well, I was raised with my grandparents using racial slurs. Or he was like, I was raised with this person using racial slurs and around this sort of language. And I was just like, are you comparing me saying my lovely to racial slurs? And it was like, I think that comment was just a bit like either I'm deluded or they're deluded. And there was actually another person present while that conversation was happening who wasn't at the table, but they were in the room. And they even agreed that the conversation was just delusional. It was absolutely delusional. And I explained to this man about things that had happened, like the movies things, like the spray gun point. And he was just like, right, well... And it was just a bit like, well, okay, moving on. And it was, you know, you could tell that he kind of thought that they were wrong, but he didn't want to admit it. And that conversation, I just remember feeling, I left And I just remember thinking, this is the end. Anyway, the bit that you've all been waiting for, what happened?
Hi, sweetie pies. Future Declan popping in here again. Just wanted to add to that little story. Whilst having this conversation with Piss Poor Picasso, I said that I did not like the way that I was being treated by my manager. I expressed this, and I expressed that I also wasn't happy about the way that I was being treated by the boys. And I cannot really remember what he said about in terms of the boys, but in terms of my manager, he agreed that the manager was, quote unquote, a total prick, close quotation. He called him, open quotation, a total prick, close quotation. So, just so you know, he was aware. Thought I'd slide that in there.
On the 18th of March, 2022, at around 4:30, 4:15, I left. I walked out. And I have zero regrets. What happened was, I was setting up and I had a ridiculous prep list that day. So a prep list is where we write out what we need to do that day. On this particular day, I think it was a Friday. It was a Friday, the 18th of March 2020. Yeah, it was a Friday. And we had like a reduced number of hours to set up and to get everything done. And my list consisted of like, I mean, this is pastry, so you got to remember, like, for pastry and patisseries to be the best, it has to be fresh. I had like a couple of twirls, top up some of my ice creams. I had to make bread. They put me on developing a sweet treat, which was this very bonbon, and also a snack, which personally, as a fine dining restaurant, if you are going to produce the best snack, you don't put the person that knows nothing about savoury on there, but whatever. And that particular snack that they wanted me to do consisted of 4 different elements. And I didn't have time to do it all. I'm not a superhero. I have one set of arms, you know. And I had a conversation with the manager, and he just made me feel like shit. It was just, and he came for me as a person. He came for Image Like Perfection, which at that point hadn't even launched. He came for, he came for my business, me as a person. He came for the one with pastry cook. He came for my character, my ability. He just like hit everything in one exchange. And I went to the toilet to try and cool down, because when I'm upset, and this happened quite frequently, I'd have to go to the toilet, sometimes online, and I'd just like take 5 deep breaths. I'd compose myself, and I'd go back out there and literally slay it. And so I went into the toilet, and I was just like, if something felt different about this exchange, I knew. I was just like, why am I here? It just kind of, everything just clicked, and I went back out, and my plan was, right, get this service over and done with, you're going to hand in your resignation tomorrow. And I went back out, he started at it again, I was like, I literally took my apron off, and I was like, I'm out. I said, my exact words were, that's it, I'm out. I put my apron down, I went outside because the execs were actually here that day, and I couldn't find him. I just remember I was just like walking around the restaurant. I was like, shit, what am I gonna do? And I was just like, then he came up the stairs, and I was just like, right, that's it, I quit, I can't do this anymore. And he said, why? I says, because he's a fucking wanker. And
Can't say his name.
Oh. We'll bleep that out. And you know, to be honest, like, part of me is like, I should have articulated myself better than just saying he's a wanker. But at the same time, like, I've articulated myself for these people so many times. I've explained my problems with these people so many times. They never listen, never take it on board. He's a wanker, that's it, I'm done. And I said, I'm at the worst point in my life right now. I went into the toilets, got changed, went back out, gathered my stuff, couldn't even look him on the way out. And he went, are you going? And I didn't even look at him. I was just like, yeah. Walked out, and I was literally sobbing. I was walking down the road, and I was sobbing all the way to the car. And I just remember I sat down in the car. I was literally crying my eyes out. I called my mom, my friend Shan, I texted my friend Darcy, and I also texted Mason, and then I also texted my friend Lucy as well. And yeah, that was it. So I walked out. walking out of a job, there's a lot of stigma of that's not something you should do. Like, you are leaving people in the shit, and you know what? I had chocolate tempering, I had shit popping off, and I just left. Of course I left them in the shit. The thing is, and that's something that's a last resort, and a lot of people are like, do you regret it? And I just want to say this, and I want to make this very, very clear. I, Declan Crofts, regret nothing. I do not regret walking out because I don't. I do not regret not leaving earlier because I'm a very, very loyal person. I'll stay with you till the end. We'd reached the end. So, I left. I don't regret it. I don't. Like I said, I'm too loyal. I do not regret not leaving earlier. I don't regret walking out. And the thing is, that's the thing. And then to this day, like, I've had to deal with so much shit. You know, I still have PTSD from Beams. You know, there's days where I could be so fucking busy, my schedule could be jam-packed, and somehow it, like, gets into my brain and I'm, like, infatuated with these negative, dark thoughts that, you know, about that place. And the thing is, it's so much more because I built myself to be the person I wanted to be, in the career that I wanted to be in, and then they just took that away from me. And that makes me so sad. And do I think I would still be there if I was straight? Yeah, 100%. Because do you think they would have treated a straight person like that? No. You know, and I thought that they were better. I thought that they were about change. And that's one of the things that I could sit here and be like, oh my God, like, I'm so not racist. And then I could walk out that door and treat, you know, people of colour like shit. Just because I've said that I'm not racist doesn't mean that obviously I'm not racist, but I'm just saying, like, just for context, just because you say something doesn't mean that you are it, okay? Actions make you the person that you are, and you know, I'm so disappointed, and you can think, because they are like Robin Hood and the Merry Men, they have such a gleaming reputation, and you could look at me and think, oh my God, like, this is just, you know, because when I did leave, there was, by the way, just a quick thing, left at 4:30, by 9 o'clock I had 4 other job offers from people and establishments a lot higher than Beams. 4! In like 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, 8:30. In like 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, I had 4 more offers. Okay, I am that bitch, right? Let's not forget it. And I didn't, like, rumour got out, but the thing is, like, there's been so many rumours of, oh, I've been trying to turn straight people and this person and that person. There was actually a thing, one of the things that your man said when he sat me down was, this person's girlfriend thinks that you're trying to, you know, get with him. And I'm just like, I don't like cocktail sausages. And I don't like houses on wheels. Enough said. And that was ridiculous, and that really upset me because this is the same person that I talked with and that I had really in-depth conversations with. And I said one of the things that I hate is that they think, like, a lot of people think that straight, like, that people that are not straight are trying to turn the straight people, you know what I mean? People think that, you know, people that are gay are trying to turn the straight people and that they just want to sleep with straight people and this and the other. And then he turns, and because that is not true, and he turns around and makes it as if I'm trying to turn, like, that was just so disgusting. And I was so disappointed in him. And if you're watching now, which, to be honest, I hope that you're not, but if you are, you know, first of all, fuck you. Second of all, how dare you? You know what I mean? Like, what? Do you realise how much of a little bitch you are? Do you think that it's just ridiculous? And I'm never ever going to turn around and say, listen, honey, you live in a caravan. Right? Your bed's not rocking. I don't want to turn around and say that because I'm not that kind of person, but you made me that kind of person. You know, and it's awful because I just want to create again. But I struggle to create things for the wannabe pastry cook. You know, I spent thousands on molds, hundreds on books, and he's not coming back. And I think, you know, with them saying, it all stems back to them saying, oh, we built the wannabe pastry cook, because now it makes me not want to create, because I think that when I create, people are going to look at me and associate me with that place. And really, when you look at my CV, that place is a blip in the radar. That place is just like, out of all the places that I've worked, I'm sorry, but you're next to the bottom. And that's just facts. And you can look at me and you can be like, you know what, this person, you know, is he really telling the truth about beams? But, you know, okay, just ignore me and let's look at the facts. You have a person of colour claiming that he would still be there if he wasn't a person of colour. You have a transgender man saying that he would still be there if he wasn't transgender. You have a person of a different sexuality saying that they'd still be there if they were straight. You have a woman saying that they'd still... In fact, that's a lie. So you have 3 women saying that they would still be there if they were male. Yeah. Yeah, you're not racist. Yeah, you're not homophobic. Yeah, your actions are not, you know... Okay. But they're the facts. And let's remember that. And remember that these people, the people of colour, the transgender man, the people that, you know, were not straight, the women, they all left within a short amount, within a short period. And let's look further into the facts. 3 members of staff promoted after displaying discriminatory behaviour. Back to the chocolate. So this bonbon, I've titled I'm Out, because that's what I said. The flavour is a pomegranate and rose, like pâte de fruits, but it's a bit runny. It's kind of reminiscent of a Turkish delight. And a pink peppercorn ganache. This bonbon was what was in development when I left. This was what I was developing when I walked out. And so I thought, I'm going to make one that looks exactly the same, that has the same flavourings. I made the splats a bit bigger, like the splats on the one that we were creating was a lot smaller, but the thing is, I like a big splat, so I made it my way. And this is I'm Out. So yeah. And I just want to say that a lot of people have been spreading a lot of nasty rumours. The shortened version of the tea, I walked out. My reasons for walking out was emotional abuse and discrimination. And also thirdly, I am in the happiest place that I have ever been in life. And I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry, but I am literally like so happy. I work a job where I'm doing what I love, you know, and I work a side job where the management is just how it should be, and it's just so beautiful. I work with people from different countries, of different races, of different sexualities. I work with so many different people, and, you know, I do want to kind of just say a quick message to the people above. So, you know, I just want to say to the owners, I have never been as disappointed in anyone as I am in you guys. You have caused so much pain and hurt to the LGBTQ plus community, to the trans community, to the black community, and to women. I hope and pray that you change your ways. Genuinely, I don't want an apology. I do not want you to reach out to me, period. You have ruined a part of my life that is Sheffield. I do not come to Sheffield unless I am parking in a secured car park. I do not make reservations under my name. Unless I'm car to curb in it, I don't want to go. I hate being in Sheffield. And you've ruined that for me. You've taken away something that I loved, that I've worked so fucking hard for. And you've used everything that I've told you and everything that I've opened up to you about against me. You have done... You're a disappointment to men, period. I'm just going to say that. And you can both fuck off. And, you know, I'm not upset that you got 3 rosettes because I'm jealous. I'm upset that you've got 3 rosettes because, you know, it's a step in the wrong direction for the community, that is, you know, for the industry. How you treat people is not fair and it is not good. And that's almost like a reward, and, you know, that's that. And to the boys, I have natural anger towards you guys for not stepping up and saying, you're treating him like shit, stop it. Because I've stepped up for every single one of you boys. There's been situations where I've stood up for you in front of the managers, okay? So of course there's some natural resentment for that. But I want to say to you, get out. There's such a bigger world out there. There's such a beautiful world out there. There's so much more for you boys. You need to leave. And I'm being serious. And the thing is, you're going to watch this and, you know, I'm going to be vilified, whatever it is, for making this video. I'm going to be painted out to be the bad person. But please, you need to leave. Get out. See the world. Become better people. Because this is not it. You repeat the same menu items all year round, just swapping stuff in and out. It's the same shit. This is not progressive. And I pray that you do get out there, because guess what? The grass is not just green, it is customizable. And I think that is something that's so important. Get out. And it's funny because I've spoken to customers of this place, I've spoken to ex-employees of this place, and it's weird how you guys have got such a bad reputation. You know, I thought I had a bad reputation. You know, you've got customers not bringing their clients ever again because of how you act with them, how you suck up to them. And I just think, like, you've got ex-employees saying how bad it is. So I'm out. So that's the 2-piece box. Now the 4-piece box. As you guys know, oh, the ribbon. Oh, it's got caught. The ribbon. Love it. Mason does such a good job of the ribbons. 4-piece box. 2 of the chocolate social and 2 of I'm out, per the norm. And then, the 9-piece box. This is literally like the best thing ever, like unboxing this one, because it's just so beautiful. Like I said, I think I've said this before, I don't actually see inside the 9-piece box until I do these videos, you know, because Mason takes the pictures and like he'll do the boxes up and then I just like unbox them. Right. Oh, so the 9-piece box, you get 3, I'm out, 3 of our Staple the Chocolate Social. And then what are these? These are called You're Welcome XOXO. So when I was creating this collection, obviously quite heavy stuff, right? And then I thought, what can I pair with this? And I thought, you know what, I'm going to put You're Welcome with it. Because You're Welcome has become, I'm just going to leave this like this so you can just appreciate the beauty as well. Oh, there we go. Okay, so You're Welcome, spell You Are Welcome, then XOXO. That's kind of become like a bit of a like thing that I say to myself to process situations that are not for me anymore. And like I said before, I'm a very, very loyal person. I put everything into something. And I do find it hard to let go sometimes because, you know, I make things work. And when things do not work, I don't like it. So, you know, You're Welcome is kind of something that I say to situations that are out of my control, you know. And that's why I've kind of done it yellow, because yellow is a very, very weird colour. It's a very, very happy colour, and, you know, obviously associated with summer and sunlight and everything, but also yellow is a colour of caution, you know. So I wanted it to be yellow, and I wanted to, you know, kind of swirl it a little bit with gold, because I like to think that wherever I go, like, I leave a trail of gold, you know what I mean? Like, anyone that can tell you, anyone that I've worked for will tell you, like, I am like the hardest worker. I'll put in 110% to anything and everything that I do, even if you're my friend, you know what I mean? Like, whether you're my friend, whether you're not my friend, I put in 110%. Like, I come in, do the thing, and then I bounce. And, you know, You're Welcome is kind of like a reminder of what I bring to the table and, you know, what you're missing out on. And I thought it'd be perfect to put in this box. So this is a 9-piece box exclusive. It's a white chocolate shell and the filling is yuzu and white chocolate. And, you know, it's yuzu because yuzu, we're at the tail end of the yuzu season now, and yuzu is expensive. So you guys are welcome for me putting such an expensive ingredient in the box. So Yes, you know, this is actually such a really nice box. I struggle to pick a favourite because, can I tell you a secret? I love white chocolate, but I don't love it like some of you guys love it. Well, I'm not a citrus fan, but this bonbon is really, really nice. Like, it is just... Do you know what I mean? This one's really nice as well. And obviously the staple's really nice, otherwise it wouldn't be a staple. So anyway, we have come to the end. It's so nice to see you guys again. Keep updated by the Instagram, Facebook, Nextdoor. There's this app called Nextdoor with all the local people in. I use that. So keep updated for all the updates regarding like when collections are going to come out and everything. And I cannot wait to see you guys for the next season's collection. I'm so excited. Before we go, there is something I want to do. Mason, would you bring me the chocolate bar, please? Anyway.
You can't see the light. Do you want me?
I'll tip it up a little bit, shall
Yeah.
I? So anyway,
I'll zoom in, don't worry.
I have created a product, right, it's a chocolate social bar. So we've taken photos of this one, by the way. This is broken because we've taken photos of it. This is a chocolate social in a bar. We are selling these in person. So, you know, like when we do pop-up stores, events, there'll be some of these very exclusive. There's not going to be a lot of them. When they're gone, they're gone. Because we're not posting them out because they're so delicate. And it's just a chocolate social in a bar. So you have got a bit of ganache. And you have got the caramel. And, you know, I'm just going to... This is going to be so messy, but I don't care. Oh, just look at that. It is absolutely beautiful. If you have one, you're welcome. I've had a girl that's had one and she's literally ordered like 5. She'll come and collect as well, which is just amazing. They're so nice. So yeah. Anyway, we'll see you for the next one. Ciao.